If you're watching this video on YouTube, remember, if you have a question, comment, or suggestion for me, you can post it on 3D Game Man, and the link is provided below. Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds from 3dgameman.com, and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the Silverstone Redline RL04 case. The case comes in this rather plain looking box, although it does have pictures, features, and specifications about the product on it, plus two holes, one in either side of the box, which will make it very convenient if you are picking this up in store. It's packaged very well with styrofoam on either end, and the case itself is in a plastic bag. This case is all black on the outside as well as on the inside, and it's constructed from steel, mesh, and plastic. At the top of the case, you can install two optional 140mm or two optional 120mm fans. The front bezel has this very aggressive armor styling, and they include four 5¼ drive bays, and each drive bay has an easy to remove drive cover. Just grab both ends, pinch, and it's that easy to remove. There's very little branding on this case, but they do have their logo front center, and actually this doubles as a power button. On the front bezel at the left is a status LED reset button, two USB 3 ports, as well as a microphone jack and headphone jack. They have mesh here at the front, and that will provide excellent ventilation. Now, this front bezel can be removed by pulling the bottom to reveal one included 120mm intake fan, but you can install another optional 120mm fan if you wish. And thankfully, they include dust filters for the front fan or fans. On the left side panel, there's a big punch out as well as lots of ventilation, and you can install up to two optional 140mm or two optional 120mm intake fans, and thankfully, they do include a removable dust filter. The right side panel is plain except for this big punch out, which is excellent because it means that you can fit a lot of cables behind the motherboard tray. At the back of the case, they include two of these punch out holes if you are interested in doing water cooling, like for example putting a large radiator at the top. Should be no problem fitting a 240 rad here at the top. If you do, you can use these holes to route cables and or water cooling tubes through. Here's where the motherboard's I/O shield plate gets installed. You can install an optional 120mm fan. There are 7 ventilated expansion slots, and at the bottom is where a standard ATX power supply gets installed. As well, they include 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side panel. Included inside the case is a user's manual and a bag of screws for installing, like for example, the drives in the drive bays, as well as motherboard standoffs. This case fits standard ATX and micro-ATX form factor motherboards, and while this is not a large mid-sized tower case, there certainly is lots of space to work on the inside. Now, unfortunately, the motherboard tray is not removable, but they do have a large hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate, and there are also plenty of holes on the motherboard tray to route the cables behind it, and there's lots of space behind the motherboard tray and the right side panel, so you can get the cables out of the main part of the case. This will look good, but it will also increase airflow inside the case. The 5¼ drive bays have a toolless operation, as does the 3.5" and 2.5" drives. You can fit up to 5 2.5" drives or 5 3.5" drives. You just install them or mount them to each of these removable drive cages, and then you can slide it in or out extremely easily. You can fit a video card that is up to 29 centimeters in length. Same goes for the power supply. Now, if the power supply has modular connectors on the end, you can take away probably another centimeter or so. That's approximately 11.5 inches. And you can fit a cooler that is approximately 16 centimeters in height. That's around 6.5 inches. Now let's have a closer look on the right side of the case with the right side panel removed. Here are the 5 3.5" or 5 2.5" drive bays. If you want to install a drive, just simply pinch on either side and pull it out, mount the drive, and then slide it back into place. Again, note all of the holes on the motherboard tray so you can route cables behind here as well. They include some punch outs so you can attach those cables using cable ties behind the motherboard tray. At the bottom they include 4 plastic feet, and these are rather tall, so that means that it will keep the case off of the floor so that bottom power supply fan can intake lots of cool air, and they do include a removable dust filter. Finally, have a listen to the stock cooling, but remember that they only include one 120 millimeter red LED intake fan at the front, so remember to install more optional fans on this case just to ensure that the inside of the case will remain cool. This case falls somewhere between a budget case and an enthusiast case. It really has major bang for the buck because while a lot of budget cases have cheap parts, poor designs, and there's not a lot of features, this case does have lots of features and it looks fantastic. You can install a large radiator at the top of the case, and remember they have 2 punch out holes on the back of the case so you can route cables and or water cooling tubes through there. Plenty of drive bays, lots of places to install fans, a hole on the motherboard tray for the cooler's retention plate, a big punch out here on the right side panel, and that will allow lots of cables to be tucked behind the motherboard tray. So this case has a lot going for it. So if you're in the market for a great looking, feature rich, affordable mid-tower case, then this just might be it. Overall, this is a great product. Until next time, take care. I hope you enjoyed this video review, and please note that pricing for this product is available on the 3D Game Man video review page.